Well, I can tell what you. Yeah.
Nice to meet you too.
Okay. So today we'll basically be talking about your role as chairperson of the Elections Commission of the Eligibility Association of Pennsylvania, and how the process is going. We gave you an opportunity to also respond to some of the things I'm sure you have heard from some people, especially a specific camp and a group of people who have charged to your commission of partiality, basically siding with the side and those sorts of things. And generally, gave you an opportunity to also talk about some of the elements in the community relating to the association and to other things.
We did try to do an orientation with the approved candidates, and that didn't go too well. People had some concerns, and we've been trying since that time to try to listen to people's concerns and try to address them. And up till this day, I think parties are still not satisfied with the way that their concerns are being addressed. But we're still on target with the election process moving forward, with the election going to be being held on August 12th.
Okay. You talk about dissatisfaction. That some of the parties are not satisfied. I've heard some of the things because I've talked to some of them. Basically, what are some of and I'll ask about those, but what are some of the grievances that they're bringing up to you?
One of the main things that people are not very satisfied with, they're very concerned with the fees or the dues that the organization has in place for members. And I think what people have to realize, the Election Commission does not stipulate what the dues are. It's the organization that does that. So we just have to follow the Constitution, what the dues are, and make sure we put in the guidelines that members have to be reminded what the dues are and what is going to be required of them, what the status should be at the time of election.
Is the Election Commission involved in any way in the imposition or collection of dues?
Oh no, that's not our job. Our job is just for the election process. The organization itself, the collection of dues is done by the treasurer and the financial secretary. They're the ones that keep that record during the course of the year. And at the time of election, what we as Election Commission get back from the organization is all of the members, the registered voters that are up to par with the dues.
So basically, all you do, you have nothing to do with imposing how much people should pay.
No, that's not
to become eligible to vote.
No.
You don't collect the monies.
No.
All you do is you just get the list of eligible voters.
Right.
Okay. I'm asking this because one of the concerns I've heard from the other side is that you on the commission or in collaboration with the leadership is insisting that people should pay a certain amount of money to qualify them.
We as the Election Commission are not insisting. This is what has been done in the past. It has been a problem in this community that most Liberians don't care much about the organization until it's time for election. The community, the entire community came together many years ago and decided if you decide to only come to the organization at that time, you will have to be with the same qualification of the people that are already in the organization. So if you decide you're only going to register as a member of LAP at the time of election, the members that are already in the organization have to be at least up to half year with the payments of dues, and you have to be on that level with them. So we, as the Election Commission, are not the ones that impose that rule, and the entire community came together and decided this is going to be the rule.
So if I was not, say, if I was not a registered member of the association, even though I lived in the community, I'm not a registered member of the association, and I decide to register now, do I have to pay half a year, 6 months of dues?
Yes, because
go ahead.
Because you have to remember you're coming into the organization and at a time where the most important decision is being made for that organization. So if you have had no role to play with this organization, but you only come and decide for that organization, who should rule the organization, who should lead the organization. We, the organization actually wants to see some kind of investment, and when I say investment, meaning that you think highly of the process and you want to stick around. So the members that are already going to the polls, because here's the thing, if you decide you really want to be a part of this organization, what is stopping you from waiting until after election?
I get you.
Whether you knew or not.
I get that.
Right.
The thing though is that because this payment of dues, whether future or retroactive, but 6 months, is kind of, doesn't it have the effect of basically stopping people from participating in the election process, from voting, because it seems to be like a fine that's being imposed simply because we're going to election. So if I came after the election,
Right.
I don't have to pay for 6 months.
You have to pay but you still have to pay your yearly dues.
Yes,
though.
but I'm
It would
not
be
paying
required.
6 months in advance. But I'm being required to pay 6 months in advance now only because of election time. Don't you see that as trying to, as having the effect, if not the intent, but the effect of basically keeping people away from participating in the election process?
Well, here is the thing. If you want to be a part of the election process, then why don't you join the organization ahead of time?
So we're
But-
taxing people to
This is not
participate in
a
the
tax.
election process.
We're saying everybody, whether new or old, when you hit the polls, anybody that hit the polls and has to vote, if you're gonna have a voice in who leads the organization, we want to know that you are current and you're a due paying member. So those other members that they've been in the organization, they could be sitting there and saying, "Oh, I've been a couple of months,
Yeah.
Yeah, so, but we're not even gonna allow them to go to the polls. So why you that just coming in new that decide this is the only time you're gonna come into the organization? Because, I mean, let's be real. The majority of the people that just come and vote never come back. I've gone to every meeting in this community. The community, the entire community came together and they decided this. I didn't decide this. I'm only taking direction from the organization and serving as on the election commission to make sure the process goes fairly. So I am not the one
Making that decision.
making that decision.
General Assembly made
The
it.
General Assembly came together and voted on that decision and said, we that are already in the organization, we should be the one to go to the polls and vote. But if anybody decides they want to come at this time to vote, then it should be just it's the same thing up to par with us that are in the organization.
What
The
happens
election
to
commission
me-
did not decide
Okay,
that.
I
Yeah.
see.
It's been the exact same process and it's not changed. Yeah.
I understand you had a meeting today. I don't know if
Yes.
it was a meeting or whatever, but you had a meeting today. What was discussed? Like, what were the topics? What did you discuss? What did you come to? What was the outcome?
Well, we had a meeting today because one of the parties had decided to withdraw from the elections because they felt that their needs were not being addressed and they were not pleased with the process. So we as the election commission decided for peace and harmony in the community, why don't we not respond to that letter yet, but ask the parties to come to a meeting and meet with the elders and seniors and the higher leadership in the community so they can voice their opinion and voice their concerns, because the concerns that were addressed, the reasons that were stated why they are deciding to withdraw from the election, we as the election commission feel we have addressed these issues over and over. So we thought, just for peace and harmony, let's come to an open forum, get the elders, and see if we can probably get some clarity from this meeting. So when we came to the meeting, really we presented all of our issues at the election commission, saying, these were the things that were asked. We addressed them. These were things that were asked. We addressed them. We thought we had addressed everything. So we presented to the elders and said, this is what the situation is, and we're hoping you know, if you hear the concerns of this party, you'll be able to say to them, I think it's clear, or make even a clarification, let them understand the process. The meeting, well, people discuss back and forth, and the elders, which included the Ministers Association and ULA. Of course, ULA is the overhead of all the Liberian associations, so we thought to bring the president on board. And that group decided, well, the process is fine, the way it's going, the guidelines are being followed, and if the group felt that the process is still not a process they're pleased with, then they can decide what they want to do and stick with the decision of withdrawing from the election.
So the decision of the council elders and other leadership you brought in today is that as far as they're concerned, the rules have been followed, the process is going fine, and
Right.
if the other group wants to withdraw, they can go ahead and withdraw.
Yeah.
If that is their decision.
Right.
Okay. One of the issues that was raised is that you, the election commission, you personally have even tried to recruit one or two people for the other camp. How do you speak to that?
I have heard that, and I even got anonymous text on my phone, which I find very, I won't say, well, thanks for that word, very offensive. And I think, and I did respond to people and said, I think people need to, if you have an issue, you need to identify yourself and address it, and get your facts together. To throw words around and cause noise, I think it's not only a disrespect to whoever. We are all adults, and if you have this concern, I think I'm a very approachable person. You can approach me, but to go on and accuse someone without having the facts, I think it's just so wrong, and I think cowardly. If I still haven't heard who is the person I've even tried to recruit, where I even tried to do this, and nobody has been able to tell me that. But you just hear all this noise. So I'm not in the business of recruiting for any party. I don't have a stake in this election to even do that. If I'm very good friends with the current leadership, it's because I worked with them very closely for the past 4 years. Because some of the people in that leadership have been in the previous leadership, so we've worked very closely, and I am one of the staunch advisors in this. So if you see me talking,
confidence issues, especially from the other side, given the fact that you've been really very close, you're even an advisor, as you said,
Yes.
to this group, and now you chair an election commission in which they are contesting.
Right.
Don't you see that it raises some confidence questions, at least from the other side? That it should raise some concerns?
Yeah, even if it raises some concerns, don't you think if you're going to make a statement like that, don't you think you should have some facts? Because the fact that I agree to be on the election commission, don't you think I know what my duties are and where my duties end, and how to handle myself? I mean, I think people should know me well enough to know I can handle myself well. So if you think you saw something or heard something that is not appropriate, don't you think you come to me and ask?
After this meeting today, are you any closer to believing that the process will continue to go on, the elections will be held on the date that you have set forth, and that the election will take place?
We cannot stop the process. For the process to be stopped, there has to be an official, file of appeal, or to stop the process, and reasons why the process should be stopped. So the election goes on. It has to go on in 12.